His name was Levi Price Jr. I give thanks to God for having the privilege of his life touch with mine. I was 25 years old when I met him, but in many ways, I call him my father in ministry. I learned more about being a pastor from Levi Price than anyone else in all of the world. After 3 years of seminary, I longed to be a pastor, but when I graduated, no one was calling single pastors. Although I didn't have any job offers to be a pastor, I had two opportunities to be a youth minister, one in Miami, Florida, and one in Knoxville, Tennessee. I had trips planned to both of those cities to see what God had in store. The night before I went to Miami, I got a call from El Paso, Texas, from a pastor named Levi Price. I told him I already had these trips planned, but he simply said, when you get back from Miami, let me know if you've taken the job. I'd like to talk with you. Well, I went to Miami. I didn't have a peace about it at all, and I came home ready to go to Knoxville when I kept my word and called Levi Price. He asked me if I could come to El Paso in 5 days. They had tentatively planned a weekend, believing that I would have turned down the job in Miami. I got on an airplane, flew to El Paso. When I was landing in El Paso, I thought I was landing on the moon. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Levi and Lou met me there, went to a deacon's banquet, went across the border to Mexico, met with the youth and the youth leaders, fell in love with El Paso, Texas. As he took me to the airport on Sunday, he said, Rob, I know you want to be a pastor, but if you'll come and be my youth director, I'll teach you everything I know about being a pastor. And there began a relationship that would forever change my life. In 7 years in El Paso, I learned more about being a pastor than I ever imagined. Levi took me under his wing. He let me go to funerals with him, go into the homes when someone lost a loved one. I went to the hospitals with him. I went into his study and saw how he prepared his sermons. I looked at the books he read and saw the discipline of his preparation. I'd go to meetings and committees and all sorts of things like that. Now, he knew I was a talker. He would say, Rob, you can go with me. Just don't say anything. Just listen and learn. One time we were in a particularly heated deacons meeting. There were personal agendas and the temperature was rising fast. I could tell Levi was in the middle of it all. He looked over at me and said, what are you grinning at, Rob? I said, not saying a word, just listening and learning, Pastor, just listening and learning. Well, when I look back over my ministry of almost 30 plus years, Levi Price is in everything I do. He's in my preaching. He's in my funerals. He's in my hospital visitation. He's how I do leadership. I think of so many ways that he has had a difference in my life. Most preachers graduate from seminary and they're thrown into the fire, but not for me. I got to learn 7 years sitting under one of the best preachers in all of Texas. Oh, he was a great pastor. He was a man's man. He wasn't a sissy preacher. He could relate to anyone and everyone. He was quick to correct me, but he always did it gently and with a caring attitude. He was a peacemaker. He knew how to come into a tense situation and be a calm voice of reason. I listened to him not because he spoke words of charisma, but because of the character of his heart. I listened to every word. Yes, as we remember the life of Levi Price, I am forever grateful that his life touched my mind, for I learned more from him than anybody else in all the world. And that, my friends, is what I'd like to share today. God bless you today and be encouraged.